Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy.
The old Nuss bus rolling along in LSU fall camp. The offense firmly under the control of Garrett Nussmeier now in his fourth season here in Baton Rouge. And Nussmeier talked about how different it is knowing he's the starter going through fall camp.
I mean, obviously, there's a different dynamic going from being a backup to the starter. But, I feel like, it's just taking the same approach that I've always taken. Just trying to lead, be vocal, be an uplifting spirit, keep the guys going. It gets tough out there, it gets hot out there. We just got to push through, focus on our work and focus on our job. Coach Sloan's talking a lot about being intentional with everything we do and having integrity and being focused. Locked in focus is something he says all the time. So that's been the biggest thing for us, is just staying focused on our jobs, staying focused on our tasks and moving as one.
I saw an elaborate pre-drill handshake between Garrett Nussmeier and Emory Jones earlier today, and it struck me. Nussmeier very much connects with his teammates. He's very vocal. He's certainly the leader of the offense at this point. Will Campbell's got the number 7 jersey on out there, and he is as well. And I think Kyron Lacey's got enough skins on the wall now, and is thought of as a leader in the wide receiver room because there's a lot of young guys there. And Mason Taylor's got his, and certainly Josh Williams and John Emery have been around a long time. So it's not just Garrett Nussmeier, but he is the leader. He is the quarterback. And I think about often just how different his demeanor is on the practice field now as opposed to what it was 3 years ago when we saw him first time. And he was running all over the place and slapping guys on the helmets and screaming in a joyous way, not like screaming at people like, what? Like yelling. Like he was just a ball of energy. And now he's still got some of that, but it's more of a professional demeanor. And that's not surprising. His dad has literally been a football professional for decades in Garrett's entire life. And so I think that it's expected that he would have that progression from young, jubilant, jovial, gunslinging rookie to seasoned veteran leader. I think that's an expected thing. Now, the interesting soundbite here was Nick Saban apparently said that Garrett Nussmeier was a dark horse quarterback in the SEC. Take from that whatever you will, whatever that means. But they asked Garrett Nussmeier what he thought about it, and here was his answer.
It meant a lot to me. I got to spend some time around Coach Saban, when I was really, really young. My dad was at Alabama. I ran into him a couple times in the building, getting to talk to him and kind of just see how he interacted with his players. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from that culture, at a very young age. So it meant a lot to me for him to say something like that. I thought it was really, really cool. As far as, do I like being underrated? I really don't care. I'm just focused on doing my job, being the best I can for LSU. That's what matters to me. So
I'm going to paint with broad brush here. I'm going to do it. It's not fair to put everyone in one bucket and everyone else in another bucket, but I'm going to paint with a broad brush here without giving specific examples. But I think you'll understand the point. Like, this is very much an era of me-first college football for players. You don't like where you are on the depth chart, leave. You don't like how much money you're getting, go find it elsewhere. And the players are empowered in that way. And like it or not, it doesn't change the fact that it is. And Garrett Nussmeier has kind of not fallen into that. I don't know if he has any NIL deals, what they're worth. I don't really care. That I've never really cared. It's just not why I watch the games. I don't watch the pros to see how much they get paid either. I just like watching the sport. And Garrett Nussmeier did not leave when his time was called on the depth chart. When he was down the depth chart, he did not go hit the free agent market to see who could give him a big check. And I just feel like oftentimes kids of coaches understand that there's a sacrifice that goes into being on a team here or there for everyone. That's a broad brush to paint with, but it just feels like that's the case when you know of a kid of a coach that's now in a spotlight. I felt that way when Kramer was at LSU, when he got passed up. He was the starting second baseman for a time as a freshman and lost his job. He didn't travel to Omaha as a freshman on a team that went to Omaha. Now he got hurt, but still. And he didn't just pout. He just worked really hard. And the same can be said for Garrett Nussmeier. And look, Joe Burrow did transfer. He wasn't going to play. He did transfer. Another kid of a coach. But you can't argue with his preparation and his demeanor and his professionalism and the way that he carries himself. And I can't point to every single kid of a coach that LSU's ever had or that has ever played at Arkansas or A&M, but like it just feels like when you have that upbringing where, of course, the coach always thinks about team, and then you're in that household and that kind of rubs off on you, that you're not going to buy into some of the me-first stuff that goes on in college athletics. Just kind of my observation of that from Garrett Nussmeier. Now, this offense has been one that I've enjoyed watching throughout camp. It's had its good days and its not-so-good days, but Garrett Nussmeier spoke about what he likes about this year's offense.
I think we're a very, very close-knit group. I think we've really meshed together, very, very well from the spring to summer to now. And it's 3 weeks until the game. There's not much time left. And, I think we've done an outstanding job coming together, kind of establishing our identity of who we want to be. I think we're going to be explosive and very physical, and it's going to be something that's fun to watch.
Concern is not the right word for me when talking about LSU's wide receivers entering this fall camp. Concern is not the right word. Interest is probably the right word. Skepticism might be the right word. Let me explain. Like, I look at Kyron Lacy and I go, okay, he was at ULL and he came here and was open sometimes because Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas were trying to be covered. Like, am I sure he's an SEC 1? I was skeptical about that. Chris Hilton hasn't done very much here. He's fast. He's always hurt. I don't know. Aaron Anderson, I thought was going to have a great year last year. Didn't really. Is Xavier Thomas ready to come in and be more than a kick returner? We'll see. I hope so. CJ Daniels good at Liberty. Is he good at LSU? Maybe. Shelton Sampson, 2 big drops last year. Huge talent. Can he play at this level? I don't know. Like, I had some issues with the assembled group in terms of what they had proven at this level. And now as I watch them in camp, almost all of that's been alleviated. I think Lacey's going to be a star. I think Hilton looks phenomenal. I think CJ Daniels is going to be really good. Like, I think I've, in the course of 2.5 weeks, my skepticism, based on what I have seen, has been de-intensified? What would you say there? It has not intensified, it's done the opposite. Has eased? Potentially. That would work. Just every once in a while, there's a word that just doesn't show up in your brain. But you know what I'm saying? I feel a lot better about wide receivers. Now Garrett Nussmeier talked about what he's seen from his group of wide receivers.
The whole entire wide receiver room has done an outstanding job this summer. Just as far as, how close they became. It's a different group, guys that didn't necessarily get to spend a lot of time together. We got a lot of transfers and things like that. But the younger guys have stepped up a lot, kind of, listened to the older guys. And the veteran guys have also done an amazing job. Chris and Kyron, and even CJ. Even though he's, new here, he's played, 4 years, three years, whatever, of college football already. So those are all experienced guys and who've played a lot of snaps. Same with, Xavier. And so they've done an outstanding job of just, meshing together, leaning on each other. They're always trying to get better. They're always competing, and it makes me feel good when you have guys out there that can make special plays.
I think that group's going to have a heck of a year at this point. I felt really good about DJ Chester after about 2 days of fall camp. He's had a few bumps in the road since then. Been a couple of snapping issues and then a couple of pass rush drill issues for him. But he's young and he's learning. He's really physical. He's got a great frame about him. And Garrett Nussmeier works very closely with him every day and had this to say about his new starting center.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Obviously it's a challenging position. You're always thinking about different things and making different calls. And so there's a lot on your plate. And you always got to be, on all 10 toes. And I think he's done a really good job of, doing everything he's asked to do. And, I'm really excited for him and how he's been able to, continue to get better.
Allow me to use a baseball metaphor here for a football situation. It's kind of how I function. But DJ Chester is essentially kind of being asked to hit second, and he's got like Dylan Cruz hitting in front of him and Tommy White hitting behind him. Like, hitting second's still hard. You got a lot on your plate. You've got to produce. You've got to be really good for the team to be really good. But he's flanked by some guys that are going to do a lot of heavy lifting and make it easier for him. You've got help from the left side of your offensive line. Dellinger, Campbell, great. You've got help from the right side of your line. Protection, if you will. Not Tommy White, it's Miles Frazier and Emory Jones. They can help you even if you have some issues. They're there to be your buffer. There's still a lot on your plate, but it's a comfy place to be. You don't have to worry about everybody else around you. You have to worry about what you're doing, and the guys around you are going to do a good job. And that's where DJ Chester kind of finds himself at this point. It sounds like Garrett Nussmeier is happy with his play thus far. I'm hoping that DJ Chester really takes another step and becomes an above-average player, bordering on a dominant player. And at that point, I think LSU could very well have the best offensive line in the Southeastern Conference, could push for a Joe Moore Award based on the decoration and the age of those guys. It's just very rare to come into a season and have this much proven on the offensive line. But LSU's got it. DJ Chester needs to slot in there and do his job, and then the Tigers will be pretty salty up front. Those are some thoughts from Garrett Nussmeier. If you're looking for LSU football content, you can always find us at Hunt on LSU on YouTube.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.